on the street level of K Street and above, as well on 6th Street. We tweaked those slightly to be compliant with the zoning regulations. So this is the new image. You can see the new entry over here. We modified the size of that vestibule slightly to be compliant with DDOT's regulations. You can go to the next slide, Ariel. This was the original footprint of the building. The next slide will show you the new footprint. So what you can see really is that we pulled this penthouse out. I know the reason we were here with the ANC previously was the special exception for penthouse use. We plan on having a bar, restaurant, lounge up here. So what you can see is that we've actually reduced the exterior space pretty significantly, kept it inside. I think that'll be good for the neighborhood. I know one of the major concerns was noise, but we are maintaining our agreement with the neighborhood to keep the hours that we had agreed to with the ANC, as well as if there is a situation with any sort of loud noise, working with the ANC to address those concerns. But if you go back to the previous slide just one more time, you can see everything in white here was outdoor space previously, and now what you see in the new plan is a much reduced amount of outdoor space. It nets out to roughly only about 500 square feet of additional interior space. Overall occupancy for that space remains unchanged because the occupancy loads were assuming that outdoor space would be occupied as well. This also shows you that bay projection I mentioned on 6th Street. If you go to the previous page, it was a little bit wider, and it was wider than what is allowed by DDOT's standards for projections into public space. So if you go to the next plan, you can see we shifted it some and shrunk the width of that some. If you go to the next couple slides, one of the other programmatic changes is we're now going to go down another level as far as our basement goes. If you all recall, the project does not require parking. We're not providing any parking on site, but we are going to go down another level. It's going to be roughly 18 to 20 foot high ceilings down there that we think will be marketable to a retailer. So we've given ourselves the opportunity of roughly 6,000 square feet of below grade retail space, which would connect if you go up to the first floor. So it would connect to potentially this 2,000 square foot space we have right there on the alley. Interior, we've had some refinements. Elevators have gotten a little bit bigger. All of this is just design. What we bring to the ANC early on is a pretty early design. We've also modified some of the layouts of how the lobby works and the bar, but all of that is interior to the space. We'll flip real quickly through the plans so you can just see each floor plan. We've highlighted where it's changed. Fairly minor in nature though throughout. And let's just jump up to the penthouse so you can see how the penthouse layout looks now from what it was. So this is what it was previously. It was a pretty tight interior space as far as circulation goes. And this new plan here shows how we dropped the height of the penthouse. We're still compliant. We meet all of our setbacks. We're not here asking for any relief at all on the project. But that is really just a major change that triggered us going back to the BZA, which will be going back for a consent vote on October 24th. So that's our presentation. We're happy to open it up to questions, comments. Timing-wise, we're hoping to break ground this year. One of the comments from our meeting Thursday with the committee was to reach out to the community as it relates to how we're going to stage as far as construction staging, loading, excavation. We know that's a huge challenge for the neighborhood. It's an impact to the neighborhood. The neighborhood's been living it for the better part of a decade now. So we're still working with DDOT on what exactly that plan ends up being and our contractor, but as soon as we have that plan ironed out, we'll be happy to come back to the ANC or meet with a smaller group of members of the community.
Excellent, excellent. Well, do we have a report from the zoning committee?
Yes, we've worked with them diligently, and we feel that the changes that they've made and submitted fit within the confines of what we had already envisioned for the property.
I just have one. Sorry.
Okay. You can also mention the fact that they have also made arrangements with a nearby parking lot to provide any additional parking space, reparking that they want to need. And we felt as a committee, we voted unanimously that we can support this project.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the commission?
Yes, the only thing I noticed in the plans, where the loading dock is that there's no trash room. What's the plan for trash?
So we would likely have a larger, and we're still not sure exactly where it would sit, but some sort of compactor within the space
So it'll
for
be
trash.
inside.
It would be inside of the loading dock for sure.
Yes, and we will have the recycling room downstairs for larger pieces directly out of the service.
Because as you know, trash and rats are a big issue for us. And we've had other hotels, there was one, I think, at Fifth and K that we asked and they put in a dedicated trash room. I don't know if that's something you can accommodate.
Do you want to jump down and show them where? So on the second level of the property, we do have quite a bit of back of house space that we're dedicating to storage and trash and,
In that top right corner?
this storage room right here.
Yes.
Well,
By the way, this is Ariel Westmark, she's with
With the architect.
Fallout Architects.
Right now, we've got a dedicated recycling room right here. If we needed to add in a trash room, we do have additional storage space
How would the trash get
in
from
that
there
location.
down?
There's a service elevator here that is a dedicated service elevator. So that would just come directly up to the loading dock to where the dumpster or the compactor is for pickup.
And as far as like operationally, because the hotel is running, there is cold food storage, a lot of the food prep's happening down here just because the footprint is pretty constrained. So as far as actually utilizing, I would expect them to utilize this for trash. And then have it consolidated, and when the timing is, if it's, 3 days a week in the morning is when trash is getting picked up, that we could work with them to ensure that they're actually utilizing this and not having things flow into the alley.
All right, would you mind if we put that, add that as one of our conditions?
If, I would just like to leave it, and I don't want to leave it open-ended to like back out of anything, I just want to make sure we actually plan it out properly with the operational people that will end up running the hotel. But if, what are you proposing?
Well, I guess, if you put it there, or you put it anyplace else, as long as it's indoors, I think is our primary concern.
Yeah. Does the loading dock, is that considered in your mind indoors? And I'm just asking for clarity, because the best case scenario would be, we would find space at the loading dock to be utilized for trash.
Well, just the loading dock, the door, I think in another project, they made it a concealed room, so if the door's open, it's not like, people have garage doors that say open and close, that makes it, you don't want rats coming in or out. I just,
We'll do, if you want to put into support that we're gonna work diligently to ensure that trash stays indoors and is not in the loading dock, in an open loading dock, I'm completely fine with that, because at the end of the day, this is a hospitality, this is a hotel, where the alley might be an alley, but it's a very open alley, so we wanna keep this property as clean as the neighborhood does. So we're okay with that.
Great, thank you.
Has there been a determination as to the flag?
It's AC by Marriott. They're doing one in DuPont Circle.
are these like the micro ones?
No,
Yeah.
they're actually a regular sized room. We are doing one, it's in the same, see the Moxie Hotel, which is about to open, which the rooms are about half the size of this, but it's
Right.
amazing how much they can fit into 120 square feet, and how it doesn't feel like you're in 120 square feet.
It's in 2F, so.
Yes.
Where are we with the curb cut?
So, we've met with DDOT several times, and we've tried with getting a lay-by. They're actually absolutely open to getting dedicated valet space along here somewhere for pickup and drop-off to avoid any congestion actually into the travel lane.
Sure.
But getting a curb cut, and you're gonna say I'm crazy when I say it, but the long-term plan is streetcar is gonna end up on King Street.
Yeah.
And I know, I wouldn't hold my breath either, but that's one of the many reasons that DDOT is saying they can't approve a lay-by.
What about on Sixth Street?
Sixth Street's worse because, well, not worse, but they're doing bike lanes is what they've told me. And the he's probably heard it for a long time.
Whichever one comes first will be in our group.
But, no, that was my first question, because there's only one lane really in K Street. And it's like you're asking, where does the cab stop to let someone off with a bag?
So there's 2 lanes and a parking.
Well, right now it's all parked, there's always cars there.
So what we're going to do, and as part of our public space submission to DDOT, is we're gonna actually apply for 3 spots to be able to, there's fees associated with it, we'll pay those fees to have dedicated valet pickup drop-off in front of the hotel to help with the congestion, because we recognize that it is, 6th Street's a major thoroughfare and so is K.
Yeah, I don't know, let's keep pushing though. I don't wanna give up on this curb cut yet. I mean, if you guys are supportive on this, I keep wanting to push DDOT. And I understand their ideas of, this magical train that's gonna come down K Street. But, I mean, I think it's important, because I think it brings up a good point. You have these dedicated spots, but I mean, you'll see over even where, what's that hotel on 5th Street, by the park?
Holiday Inn or?
Not the Holiday Inn.
Right at Fifth and Nine?
Hampton?
Yeah, Fifth and Nine. The Hampton, yeah, I mean, they have it, and you still see cars lining up, and that's, gonna be a concern coming down K Street, so.
What did you say they tell you about bike lanes on 6th Street?
I said they're installing bike lanes on 6th Street, running north south, DDOT.
When did they say that?
This was, we had our meeting with them, what was that, probably 6 or 7 weeks ago?
I think we would have heard of that.
Did they ask them here?
And the last time I heard, they were looking at putting it on 9th Street, so.
That was the
I
feedback
think
we
they
got.
basically don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
I'm wondering if they're trying to keep that option open.
They're trying to keep it open.
Yeah.
Well, let's, all things aside, let's continue to work toward that goal.
We're happy to help continue to pursue it. What we can't do is we have to pursue that concurrently after we have some sort of approval from them for the public space improvements that we're required to do as it stands for the current site. We're happy to pursue that. I mean, obviously, it's 2 years of construction, we can keep pushing them.
Okay.
And we're happy to do so.
Great. All right, any more questions from the commission?
Do you want to make the?
If not, yes. I don't have the list here in front of me, but I'd like to make a motion that ANC 6E support Douglas Development's minor modifications outlined in their application, and that we communicate that support to the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
Weren't you gonna put a provision about the trash?
Yes, and per provision, of course, that Douglas Development make sure that the trash room is located indoors, and that it continues to work with ANC 6E on getting a lay-by on K Street or 6th Street.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you so much, Drew.
Thank you all.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Sure. Next up, we have Urban Capital Development, and this is in Commissioner Padro's district.
So the building at 1714 10th Street Northwest has been long vacant, with a compromised roof, severe mold issues. There has been illegal construction and alterations over the years, as in very poor condition. There's something very exciting about the property though, which the developer, the architects will share. And I think that if they are able to get this approved as proposed, would be an outstanding example of trying to accommodate 21st century needs with a 19th century footprint, and preserving a remarkable survivor in the neighborhood. So, if you're ready to...
Trying to find my jump drive here, give me just a second.
Well, I'll tell you about this survivor to kill a little time while the PowerPoint is uploaded. So there's actually a heritage tree or a legacy tree in the back of the property that is estimated to be about a 150-year-old sycamore. So if you can imagine President Lincoln riding on a horseback up Vermont Avenue, a block or two away from this site, on his way to the old soldiers' home where he had a summer residence, you get an idea of just how unusual it is to have a tree of this particular legacy there. So the Historic Preservation Review Board staff has, insisted on the retention and the protection of the tree. So the architects have made a number of accommodations, including cantilevering part of the first floor, to be able to protect the roots of that tree. So,
Apologize,
getting
this
any
is not
closer
reading
to,
my disc, unfortunately, and it doesn't have an HDMI cable for me to hook up, it's just.
Well, I mean, I think we see it here.
Sure, I'm happy
Yeah, you
to
can
talk
just-
through the presentation, I don't have it in front of me for the community, let me just look through it on my iPad. So I'm David Bonioli with Studio MB Architects, I'm joined by Michelle Humbert from our office, as well as Ahmed Galal, whose brother Mohammed and he are working in the neighborhood there with Urban Capital Development. The project actually came to us about 6 months ago, and we met with some of the commissioners out to just kind of hear initial reactions. It is in a historic district, as you probably imagined, and it is a contributing structure. It is not, however, built up to the property line. There's a lot of in and out that happens on 10th Street. And so we had conversations with the local ANC single member, as well as with HPO, to try to understand what we could do. In the process of doing that, we were able to walk them through the house, and as you can see, there's a significant amount of degradation to the interior of the house. It's unfortunate some of you all can't see how moldy the walls is, because it is a caution about opening up your house to the elements. The house is quite a restricted footprint, which is immediately apparent when you walk in, because you're about to walk out as soon as you walk through that front door. It's a very small footprint, about 500 square feet per floor. As we got deeper and deeper into the project, what we had hoped to do, which was a kind of 60% lot occupancy off the rear with an appropriate setback off the front for a third floor addition, we realized that we couldn't because of this sycamore tree that is a heritage tree. It's about 180 inches around. It's a huge tree, and the root structure of that is such that in order to do any kind of increased footprint to the house, there's an existing foundation for this below grade kind of garden apartment level, if you would, and then there's a foundation wall for an area way off the back. And we'd hoped to push back that foundation wall. However, the root structure is so extensive that through air spading, which if you don't know what that is they come out with the trucks and they kind of blow air to try to figure out where these root structures are. We had to locate exactly where we could come down with piles into the ground. So rather than a traditional foundation wall on a footer, we have to come down with basically concrete sonotubes and post up. So actually the whole rear of the house will be on posts, and then we cantilever off the second floor. So as you look at the documents that you have in front of you, I'm going to just draw your attention to the diagrams that are shown on page, if we just start on page 9, which is in the bottom left, is the page numbers. This is the existing footprint. You can see how restricted that existing footprint of the house is, but you also see the kind of limb structure of the tree in the back, which is that circle that you see. And while that is certainly dictating how far back we can go now, of course, we're also bound by the setbacks from the rear, which if you go to page 10, which if I can go, you can start to see the zoning envelope that we were allowed exclusive of this tree. So 20 feet off of the rear, 10 feet off of the most adjacent shallowest neighbor, which is to the north of us, and the existing lot occupancy of 580. We could go up to 60% lot occupancy, which if you go to page 11, page 11 shows the section of the existing house. Page 12 shows the kind of three-dimensional massing of it. And I'll quickly go to page 13, really shows the development footprint we can do. And so you see a dark line indicated on there of the first floor footprint. That footprint is what is elevated up and posted down in through the root structure of the tree. And then we propose an addition on the second floor that would come back towards the tree. You can see inside that tree circle on page, that there's a red circle. That's basically the root structure that we're trying to avoid with the footprint of the building. And so what we've done is cantilevered off the second floor, which the next page, I see some of you jumping ahead there. The second page, page 17, shows the second floor on the rear kind of popping back to take advantage of that 60% lot occupancy, even though it's not a full extrusion of that 60%. So it's quite a complicated set of structural configurations that we've had to do because we can't push back that foundation wall that I mentioned. It just interferes with the root structure of the tree. And then the last page there, page 18, before I get into some of the perspective views, just shows that view shed that we're all used to seeing from across the street where we pushed back the addition on the third floor so it wouldn't be visible. We have had the opportunity to meet with the ZPD, zoning planning, and I guess you guys don't call do you call yourself ZPD in this ANC?
ZPT.
ZPT, sorry, zoning planning and transportation. We've met with the group, we had a unanimous approval on that. We also had the opportunity to present to the immediate neighborhood group last night in Ms. Hanson's living room, which was quite well received. And so we've talked to the immediate neighbor who had a property on his south side. So I'm referring to the neighbor on our south side. He had already had a development Lock 7 had done on his south side, so he's familiar with the impact that this could have. We put him in touch with Ahmed and Mohammed just to make sure that they've got direct contact with developers who will be executing the project. We are very happy as you look at some of the accident drawings on page 19 and the perspectives that we end with on page 20. We are very happy with the way the house is looking. And we expect to be in front of HPRB this month, and hopefully with your letter of support, we'll be able to get started on the expedition permitting process such that we can be under construction, we're hoping in first quarter of 2019, depending on how quickly we can get enrolled in the expedition, which if you're not familiar with that process, we've done it a couple times now. It does actually quite a bit expedite the ability to get in the ground. However, we're seeing some backing up of when you can get into the process because so many people going expedition. Now it takes 3 months to get enrolled in the process. So hopefully we can get in there in November, be done in 6 weeks, and break ground shortly after the start of the new year. Leaving anything out, I try to get through that quickly with no visuals, so.
It'll be a single family?
It will, I'm sorry, I apologize. Yes, so it'll be a single-family home. Given the restricted footprint, even though developers would prefer that there was a direct stair connection between the upper floors and that lower level, it's really going to be a garden apartment with no interior connection. We just really can't give up the footprint to have a stair coming up from that lower level unit. So that unit will actually be a very small, I don't even want to call it a micro unit because it does have a bedroom, full bath, but it's got a big kitchen living, well, big is relative for it. It's got a kitchen living dining area. So it will be a one
separately
bedroom.
metered?
No, this will be sold as a single family house. It will not be condoed, so there will be no condo documents. It'll be a single family home.
What's the square footage again?
When we're all complete, it'll be about 2,800 at developable. It could have been up in the 3,000s, but we aren't able to do that. I forgot to mention that we will be doing an architectural wall off of the alley just to protect the property at nighttime, as well as to have the parking space that we're required to have for the.
There will be parking.
There will be a single parking space, yes, as required. Yeah.
Right.
So we're not looking for any relief. We're just going in front of HPRB, and we'll look for your support.
When is your HPR?
It's the next one, I don't know, we're trying to figure that out on the way over, and my
Let me
phone
know,
died,
let me
so,
know.
yeah, I'll let you know what it is, I'm sure, happy to.
I imagine they went before the zoning committee?
Yes, they did. They've done an outstanding job based on this new revelation of this legacy tree. We felt that we could support this. We've had other properties on that street that we've heard about the special conditions, and we feel that we can support this wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
And it is in my singular district, and as indicated, the Civic Association also has heard the presentation and have no objections to the project. So I'll move that ANC60 support the historic preservation approval for 1714 10th Street Northwest, and I would communicate that support to the Historic Preservation Review Board.
Seconded.
Oh, you got it again, Andrew.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, appreciate your time.
Okay.
Grodzki Development?
So this is also in my singular district. This is actually a project that previously has come to the commission, which supported the BZA relief required. The developer now is requesting an extension of time on the application, also a modification to reduce the amount of second-story retail so that there would be additional residential units. So,
Thank you.
So Alex pretty much summed it up. The property is a couple hundred yards from here. It's on this, across Rhode Island Avenue on 7th Street, and you walk by the 7-Eleven. It's midway down the block on the same side as the 7-Eleven. as Alex said, we tried to change a couple things on the plan. And the first page of what I have here, the pink or salmon color indicates commercial space. And the first page shows the plan that's been approved by the BZA. The second page shows the change in that plan, which is just to eliminate the stairway in the commercial space from the first floor to the second floor. So that's the only change on that first floor plan. The third page shows the approved second floor plan, and the blue is residential and the pink is commercial. And the fourth page shows the change I'm seeking to that floor, which is to eliminate the stairs and turn what was a commercial second-story space, which I had no interest in when I've been trying to lease it, to turn that into an apartment. So the change on the second floor is previously 4 apartments and 1 commercial space. Now it's 5 apartments and no commercial spaces. And what that does to the square footage of the building is nothing. It doesn't add or subtract square footage. And what it does to the parking, the modified plan decreases the parking requirement by 1 space. So it improves the parking situation slightly. I had relief from the BZA for the parking originally, so it's slightly less relief that will be required with this modification.
Thank you.
So the project was presented to the Civic Association, which had no objections to the proposed changes.
The zoning committee, we've heard this case, and the modifications that they're trying to make and the changes that they're making, we definitely agree with, and we support. The vote was unanimous.
So I'll move that ANC 6E support the request for an extension of time and modification of consequence for 1612 to 1614 7th Street Northwest, and we communicate that support to the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
And Holy Redeemer.
I got you. Good.
I'm Chip Glasgow with Holland and Knight, and I'm here on behalf of the Archdiocese of Washington for the Holy Redeemer site. This site is located in New Jersey and New York Avenues, and it comprises about 38,000 square feet of property. And we are looking for support from the ANC to change the comprehensive plan land use map from medium density commercial, from medium density residential to medium density commercial, medium density residential. It's the exact same designation that's across the street. So if you look across New Jersey Avenue, you'll see the striping, and that we want to extend to the Holy Redeemer site. Archdiocese has no present plans for the site, but I've been through comprehensive plan cycles with churches before, and if you don't get the comprehensive plan in a way that you can utilize it for a future, then you miss a cycle and you have huge issues. I had that with the Riverside Baptist Church. We missed a cycle, and they were 5 years later before they could get in and get their new church built. And, yeah, it was an issue. So I was asked by the Archdiocese to look over their properties and see where there would be something where there was a potential, and certainly something that New York and New Jersey avenues stood out as something where we want to get the comprehensive plan change. We met with a number of the commissioners, met with the single member district representative, went over everything with him, very near the site. and that we have been to the committee, and we presented to the committee last week.
Oh, thank you. What does the zoning committee have to say?
The zoning committee, based on, what he's presented to us, we thought that we can support this request. If you have the same density across the street and you have a different one across the street and need the other one on the other side of the street, we felt that it wouldn't be robbery to grant that. So we support it.
Excellent. Well, this is in Commissioner Judd's district. Commissioner Judd, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
Great, great. Well, at this time, I'll take a motion to support the change in the comprehensive plan.
So moved, and we report that to the zoning commission.
Zoning Commission and the council also in the Office of Planning.
This is zoning commission, office of planning, and the council.
Council.
Second.
Excellent. So second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you so much. All right, next up, we have, DDOT, request for comments on design guidelines.
Dina. Not here.
Nobody here.
So this is part of the rollout for the next wave of Wi-Fi.
Okay.
So this is for 5.0.
Okay.
And so there is a monopole or a lamppost that incorporates the transmitter that they're talking about adding. So this is, there's only one in our jurisdiction that we've been notified of, and that's in front of Shiloh Baptist Church. Did the committee review it? I had to leave early. The committee didn't
No.
review it. So there isn't anything unusual about it.
Sure.
So, I mean, the only comments were that it would be appropriate to install in our jurisdiction in this location.
Okay.
So I would move that ANC 6E report to DDOT that it has no objections to the design guidelines for small cell master license agreement specific to the placement of 1510 9th Street Northwest.
Okay, great.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Brown. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously passes. Excellent. And on to 444 K Street, 448 K Street.
Yeah,
She's here.